Hey, Sam, before we get kicked off, if you don't mind, can you give us a quick audio check? Jose, give us a little test 1, 2, 3, please.
Test 1, 2, 3.
Great. Sam, let us know if that's coming through okay. All right, good. All right, folks, I know we got a couple folks that have joined and folks are just getting in. We appreciate you jumping on here a moment early. We're actually just on time because we're gonna get the session kicked off here in just a second. Before we do, run through a couple of quick kind of house cleaning items, so to speak. And okay, I want to thank everybody for joining us for today's webinar from Asterix entitled Streamlining Your Environmental Monitoring Workflow in SampleManager LIMS. Today's presentation is brought to you by and presented by Asterix. So we'll jump right into the presentation materials. We can go to the next slide, Jose. Before we get into the presentation, let me take a moment and just introduce you to Asterix. Obviously, I don't know if the folks that are joining us today, if this is your first time that you're on an Asterix webinar. If it is, we welcome you, or if you're a return visitor, of course, we welcome you back. But I'll tell you a little bit about who Asterix is, and then we'll get, you can actually take a step back there, Jose. I'll let you know when we want to jump ahead. And then I'll turn it over to our presenter for today. So who is Asterix? A couple things. We are a professional services company, first and foremost, focused on technology in life sciences. We've been at this now for over 25 years, and we work with customers all over the globe. We were established in 1995. We work with a wide array of different technology platforms like SampleManager. We're not aligned to any one or a few. We work with many. We operate from locations in the United States and overseas, 1,200 employees, give or take. One thing we're very proud of is that 90% of those employees hold advanced science degrees. We're very much a science-based company helping other science-based companies. And we work with companies that range in size from startups up to Fortune 1000. Life science enterprise, chemical, CPG, government agencies, research institutions. Pretty much if you're an R&D or you have a lab or you're operating in and among the life science community, you're a company that we can work with and we can help. Then we go to the next slide, please. So in terms of those services, we are a professional services company. We like to call them end-to-end services that accelerate digital transformation and optimize performance across your entire ecosystem. What does that fancy sentence mean? It means that we can do everything from strategic innovation work through enterprise architecture. That's higher level consulting, strategic consulting, where we're helping you define things like, what is your business processes? What are your user requirements? What's your application roadmap look like for the next couple of years? What is your technology stack going to look like to help you move forward as a company or as an R&D division? From there, we can help you select solutions. We can pick the right technologies based on what we've learned and make sure that you are putting together the right technology stack for your unique business requirements. From there, we can help with the development and implementation of those systems. Afterwards, we can help with computer systems validation of those systems to make sure they meet FDA requirements. We can then provide ongoing application support, either on-site, remote, or some hybrid of which. From there, we could even go as far as staffing. We are a staffing company on another division, and we do both IT as well as scientific staffing. So we help our customers pretty much from end to end. So that's a little bit about the service offerings. I'd like to introduce our speaker for today. We can go to the next slide, Jose, and then I'll sit back and enjoy the presentation with you. Jose Rebello is going to be speaking. He's a delivery manager here at Asterix, and he's currently one of the delivery managers in the SampleManager practice. He leads a team with more than 30 people, experience in SampleManager, Watson, and Integration Manager projects. He brings over 8 years experience supporting and implementing and leading LIMS projects, with obviously a focus on SampleManager. So, Jose, I'll sit back and I'll enjoy the presentation with the rest of the folks who joined us today, and then I'll come back on at the end and help with questions.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Thank you everyone for joining. Today, I'll be talking a little bit about the new EM module that was introduced in SampleManager 21.1. All right, so multiple times I've had to implement environmental monitoring for customers before, and I've had to customize many things, mainly dashboards and a way for users to track sample incubation, right? In this new module, that functionality comes out of the box and requires no customization. You just have to configure it the way that you like. This module also comes with the preloaded data, analysis, instrument integrations that you can use for common situations for environmental monitoring, all right? So in here, there's a list of all functionality that comes with the module. So you have enhanced dashboard navigation. This basically allows navigation without the use of the left-hand side pane. I'll show you that in a little bit. It comes with MLP enhancements, sample scheduling and schedulers randomization. It allows for sample collection and sample chain of custody, operator sampling, so you can sample multiple points in an operator galley. You can have instrument result importing. There's an out-of-the-box instrument interface with air samplers, so you can bring in the information from the air sampler without having to log in the samples beforehand. There's a multi-stage sample incubation, outside laboratory testing, and it comes with its own reports and some really useful dashboards. All right. So I will talk about some of these items that I consider most important. If I don't talk about any items, you can ask about them later, and I'll gladly give you an overview. So first, I'll talk about the MLP enhancements that we have in this new module. So in the new module, we have two new level types included: the warning and failure limits. The warning limit flags records the limits in this two fields, the MLP warn min and max, and it sets the out of range field set to true when the limit is exceeded. And for the failure limit, we have the MLP fail min and max fields that are updated with the limits. And apart from the out of range field being set to true, it also enables the MLP fail OOS field. If you can see here in this picture, you'll see that the limits for the failure are in their own fields, and also for the warning limits, it tells you if the out of spec is a yes or no. And this also makes it very easy for you to display all these properties, your minimum and maximums for your alert and action limits in reports. This is a very common request that we have. And now you can do this all out of the box. All right. So next, I am going to talk about the location enhancements. So this new module has a tab on the location entity in which you can enter, you can load an image. All right. In this image, it comes with an X and Y matrix grid where you can put your different sample points and child locations from your image. So this line 1A sample point, for example, it's in the location 4.5, which I'm assuming is this one right here. All right. You can also plot your child locations within this image. So if you have a plant map and then you have a room, you can specify where the room is located within that plant. All right. Other than that, you can specify an EM class where you have some preloaded ISO classes. In here, you can add more to the list if you like. And you can also specify a default product to be assigned to the samples that are logged in from this location. All right. One more thing that this has is the dashboard scheme. You can configure the colors that you have for your bubbles. You can have them, for example, green if there are no out of spec results, yellow if there's one, and red if there's multiple. And you can configure it as you like. All right. Another new cool thing that has been added is the sample containers functionality. This allows you to track the physical containers that need to be used for your sample collection. So let's say that you have a sample collection that you have to take from one of your sample points, and you need to take 2 liters total of water, but you have 1 liter containers. So you can specify, okay, I want to use 2 1-liter containers, and it allows you to print labels individually for each container in the sample automatically. All right. You can also assign containers for a specific test. All right. So if I want to, if I need to grab two swabs for a surface, I can use one swab for your viable surface test and one swab for another test. All right. This sample containers functionality also allows you to track the disposal of the individual containers within the sample. So why do I think this is a cool addition? It's because before we will have had to create multiple subsamples to track containers within a parent sample. But this adds additional overhead, additional data that needs to be created, and if there are calculations that have to be done between multiple subsamples, it can get a little tricky. But now you can have it all under just one sample. So this is a list of containers that comes preloaded with the module. You can add and remove as you see fit. You can add the capacity and the units. All right. So a little bit more about containers. So this is a sample schedule screen. If you're using schedules currently in your SampleManager instance, you'll see it looks pretty similar, with the exception that it has a couple new fields here. Most importantly are these, the container number, and the preservation. So if you can see from one sample point, we have multiple tests, and all these tests need a 1 liter plastic. The container number is used to determine which tests go with which container. So for this sample point, you will need 2 containers of 1 liter plastic. For the first 2 tests, for the ammonia and the total alkalinity test, they will be grouped under this one test, one container. And since this other test, the TDS, total dissolved solids, has another container number, it will be grouped under its own container. And you can also specify the preservation conditions and media for each container. All right. All this information is passed down from the schedule and the sample point to the sample upon logging. So you can put it on your container labels. All right. So just another screenshot of the containers. So in here, the EM module comes with many dashboards that I'll show you in a bit. But in this one, in the job chain of custody, you can specify your job and then select one of the samples within the job, and you'll be able to see all the containers that are used for that sample. From the example below, you can see we have this container ID 390. It's in 1 liter plastic, and this is a preservation, and the analysis list is the list of all the analysis that are used for that sample, for that container. All right, so you'll be able to easily show it in the labels. So for this next 2 topics, I'll just give you a quick rundown and then show you live in a SampleManager system. The multi-stage incubation process in this new module is handled using SampleManager batches. When you start your incubation and you're ready to put in your samples in your incubator, you create a batch where you can keep all your samples together. And that way you can track the time that it was put in, how long it was put in the incubator, when it needs to be taken out, and all that stuff. This functionality supports out of the box 2 incubation stages, but it's really easy to add more incubations if you need them. You just need to add a new batch template and a few more fields to a structure. All right. The last thing that I want to show you here is the hotspot maps. This functionality in SampleManager allows you to use the maps that you added to each location. All right. and then you can see all the results that are in each one of the sample points and child locations. If you double click on any of the child locations, you will be able to see more information about how many samples there are and how many are out of specification. So now let's switch to, let's see, let's switch to SampleManager right here. All right, and I can show you in the system what the module looks like. So this EM module comes with dashboards that can be used without the need of the navigator. So it's meant to be used like this without having to use the left hand pane. You can navigate between dashboards by clicking on this hamburger button. All right, you can see all the different dashboards that you have available. In this home screen, you have the ability to have dashboards per different role levels. So you have one for the analyst, you have one for the manager, and you have one for the admin, for administrators. For the analyst, you can see all samples that are assigned to them. You can see any subsamples under the sample you have selected, and all the tests assigned to each sample. And you can also see an overview of the statuses on all the different samples. If you click on one of them, it can show you all the samples for the status that you have selected. All right. I will just give you a quick rundown of these other dashboards that are available. All right. For the manager view, they're able to see the data not only that's assigned to them, but all the samples in the system. It can give you an overview of all the samples that are assigned per operator. Now they're in this system, they're all assigned to me, so you only see one bar. And then you have the samples by template, how many samples are received by year, and the samples by status. Now I want to show you the admin home, which I think will be very interesting for your administrators. It can show you the status of your current server, okay? The CPU usage and the memory percentage, along with you can see how many samples, tests, and results are in the system. You can see the number of files and the size of each one of the folders in your installation folders. Okay. Another cool thing that I think that many people will appreciate is this dashboard right here, where you can see all the services for your instance and whether they're running or not. So it's an easy way without having to log into the server where you can start and stop your services. One more thing, you can also see all users that are logged into the system. You can see if there are any duplicates, and you can end sessions without having to log into the system again. These are probably some pain points that your system administrator can face often. So I will go straight into showing you how the incubation works. All right. So I will go into the sample login menu. Another thing that you have to that you can do here in your different dashboards for the EM module is that you have this option right here where you can select what will happen when you double click on an entity in the grid. So if I have the modify schedule selected right here and I double click on this room 201 schedule, it will bring up the modify schedule window. All right. If I have this schedule login screen and I double click this, it will log in the samples in the schedule. All right. So let's click on yes here. It will create the job and all the corresponding samples, depending on what's defined on my schedule. And here you go. So we have one job. It logged in 29 samples. Each sample has its own sample points and its own test below it. All right. So all good here. Let's go here to the now to the sample collection screen. We are gonna go and physically collect our samples now. And let me let's search by latest and let's collect all the samples for this job. I think they'll start right here. I will select all of them, and if I click on this little play button, it will perform that action, that collect sample action, to all the samples that I have selected in the grid. And then I click OK here. So this removed all the samples from this the samples pending collection window, and they will move them to my samples pending receive dashboard. All right, so these are all the samples that are pending received. If you can see here, if you click on any of the samples, you can see all the tests that are assigned to it. Viable surfers, viable air. Now I will receive all these samples at the same time. I will click on play. Okay. And as you can see, this process is made to just navigating between all the different dashboards to make it really easy on the analyst. So I will now go into my micro incubation dashboard. All right. In here you have all the different analysis types that we have configured for incubation. In this example, I will do the viable surface. And then on my list right here, I will select, let's do 5 samples. And I click OK. And I will create a batch. That means that I will incubate all of those samples at the same time. If you click on in process batches, this lists you all the batches that have been created that have not been authorized yet. All right, you can see we have some green ones that are pending, some red ones that either exceeded the incubation time or are pending result entry. So let's start with our batch that we just created. It's this one right here. So I'll double click on the batch. It will bring me to this screen. I will select the incubator that we need. This is not configured right now, but you can also make different incubator types depending on the temperature. So if you only want to select a 25 to 35 incubator, we can filter it here so it only allows you to add that incubator type. All right. So I will click OK right here. And now if I go to my batch to the next screen, the pending incubation one results. So one thing is that I added an incubation time that's right now, so it needs to finish the incubation. I have another test that I created yesterday. I think it's this one right here. Okay, so when I double click it, it will prompt me to enter my results. All right. So I will first enter my, I have, in this analysis, I have results for the first incubation, and then I have results for my final incubation. So I will just enter the results for the bacteria count 1 and mold count 1. All right, I will save, I will close. It automatically brings me my the batch modify screen where I can confirm manually if the results have been entered. All right, and I click OK. This will finish this stage of the process, and it will make my batch ready for the next step. Okay, so now I can double click on this batch, and I can enter the my second incubator, the time that it was put in. For this one, for this example, I want to enter a date in the past, so I can finish the incubation immediately. I will do this right here. All right, so I will also enter the incubation out. So the time out, I'll put it right now, and incubation out by, this is myself. All right, now let's go to the incubation, the pending results screen. I will double click on my batch right here, and now I will enter my my results. I will enter 0, 0 for my control, and let's enter, well, let's enter 0 for all. All right, now that I have this here, I can click on the checkbox to finalize incubation. And now it will move my batch to the batch pending inspection. All right, so I will select one right here. I'll double click it. It will make it so I can check all the values. I can check all the results. I selected another batch, but that doesn't matter. Okay, I can close right here, and it will ask me to inspect the batch. This is not mandatory. You may or may not want to do a two-part review, so an inspection and then an authorization. But that's how the system is configured out of the box. If you don't want to do the inspection, we can remove it. So now it's on inspection. Now it's brings me all this information again. Now I can authorize. And now this completes all the incubation process, 2 stages. All right. Now let me show you the hotspot maps. So now that you have data entered and in different locations, you can see the data depending on their location. So we have multiple location types defined right here. We have buildings, we have rooms, we have this is a list of locations, this is sample points, and this one is a site map. So you can add the locations types here depending on what you see fit. And this here we have the sites, rooms, and buildings, but we can add or remove them depending on what you need. So let's take a look here. in our plant, in our building dashboard, let's remove the authorized only, and let's give it one more month of data so we can see a little bit more results. So as you can see, this was updated. The size of the bubble changes depending on the amount of the results, and the color, of course, the changes depending on the amount of results out of specification. So if you highlight here, you can see that location line 1 has more than 5 OS results. If you click on the map at the plant level, it will bring you to that specific room. So right here, we can see the room that we are working on. And in here, you can see each individual sample point. So if you click on the sample point, you can see all the results. So I have only one result in this time frame. So you can see the failure and the warning max and min limits. You can see if it failed it or not. Let me show you one that has failures. So in here, since it's a failure limit, it will show it in red. If it was a warning limit, it will show it in yellow. I'm not sure if I have one in yellow, but you get the idea. All right, so another cool thing that comes with these dashboards is the ability to create reports. Okay, so you have the reports that are available right here, the location summary report, the location depth report, the location graph report. So if I double click here, it will bring this screen where you can adjust the dates. You can specify if you only want to see one analysis or one particular product. You can make it so you see only authorized data or that data in that's at rest or in operation. All right. So oh, and you can also include the sublocation. So right now, if I check the box right here, it will show all the samples that are assigned to sample points in this map or the child locations below it. If I uncheck this, it will only show me data that's in sample points in this location. I will choose the one with sublocations because I think I have more data. And so in here, you can see the total number of alerts and actions within this time frame and this location. There were 26 samples, and you had an absorption rate of 42%. All right. If you go below, you can see more info. So you have, for example, all the samples and the results for sample point location line 1, and you can see the details for that specific location. Then we have for room 201 and all the data for that one. Okay. So again, this is out of the box, and I feel like it's fulfills all the requirements for reports that I've had to do for multiple customers in the past. Okay, so in here I could click on the drop down to select another report, but there's no need to do that. You can also select the report you want down here. So let's see, let's do, I was just doing the summary. Let's do the graph one. I also including sub locations. And then you can see all the results plotted against the different sample points. So you have all the sample points right here. They are different color and all the results that you had there. So it's an easy way to see the trending results on each one of your different analysis. I would also like to show you the micro-identification report, where if you found any, so let's say that in your viable surface analysis you found any bacteria or mold, you can make it so a micro identification analysis is added automatically, and then you can identify all the microorganisms that were found in your location within this time frame. All right, so let's go back to show you a few more things. So I am going to go into my hotspots maps again. Oh, it's in here. And let's go in the room. Let's do a little bit more time. And I think room 201 is a good one. Let's click on refresh, and let's click on one of these values. So I have all the sample, the results on this sample point, and whether or not they pass or fail. And I'm going to click on charts right here. In this view, you can see all the analysis that are on this sample point. All right, and you can see a chart for each one of them. If you only want to see one, you can just easily select them. So I'm just showing the viable surface one now, or viable surface one now. And also, one thing that I think it's very useful is that you have the option to export data into a CSV format. So if you click right here, it will print the data into a CSV format that you can then use for if you wanted to use it in Power BI, or share this data with someone else in your company. You can do it this way. And as you can see, it's depending on the data that was selected in this previous screen. All right. Okay, so one last thing that I wanted to show you is the operator gowning dashboard. So in here, you're able to create, so each point that is located in this graph is a location that can be sampled. You can automatically create a sample, a gowning sample, where you can test all of these different locations, and you can specify if you failed any of the alert of warning limits, just like in the hotspot maps. All right. And well, right here, you have all the sample points that can be configured. You can add or remove them as you see fit. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Everything that I wanted to cover here. So, are there any questions?
Yeah, Jose, let me jump back in here, Jose. If you don't mind, we could jump back to that final slide. You can kind of probably just sit in there on that final slide on the Q&A section.
Sure.
Yeah, you can drop that on full screen. So if you have questions on today's session, if you could just drop into the last slide. I think, Jose, there's probably some contact information we can leave up for the folks that are on there. We'll leave some contact information up for you. Can also have you ask any questions now that you want to jump into. You're welcome to do so. If you weren't on right in the beginning, as I mentioned, you can type in on the question function on GoToWebinar, and we'll do our best to kind of tackle any questions that come up. If we don't get to a question for whatever reason, we'll reach back out to you. I do want to get the recording stopped.